Keep Homesteading, and today we're in the garage and we are going to be working on this old Craftmaster Bandsaw. A few years ago I was at a garage sale and I am kind of a sucker for old tools, and as far as I could tell this bandsaw probably was made in the 60s. Some that are like it have been made in the 40s and 50s, but the way this is set up I really think it's probably made in the 60s. So this saw is amazing quality. I love old tools, so I purchased the thing and I brought it home and it's been sitting in my garage ever since. I haven't been working on it and you can't use it. So today we are going to clean up the bandsaw. I'm not going to restore the thing. I want to maybe make it look a little nicer. The bandsaw kind of cleaned up, fixed up, and installed on a bench. So that's what we're going to do. So let's go. So this is what we're working on. It's a Stone Gridge Limited Craftmaster. It's not even a Craftsman. It's a Craftmaster. I didn't even see that. So it was made in London, Ontario, which isn't, well, it's pretty far from here, but it's still way more local than bandsaws are made now. Now I can see that someone here wrote 78. I think that is the bandsaw blade size. But I measured everything up and someone else wrote 76.5 inches. So it is actually a 76.5 inch blade that fits on here. So that's what I ordered. You can see what the guy wanted. He actually wanted 30. I think I got it for 25. You know what? These things are super heavy. There is nothing wrong with them and they got really nice bearings. Everything turns nice. The reason I think that this thing isn't like a 1930s or 40s saw, in the late 50s and 60s, I think they went to this style with a slider. And before, they actually just had a fence. So I don't think this is that old. But you know what? They made real equipment with real bearings. This thing rolls really nice. And everything is built really tough. There is a little bit of work to do because it's kind of rusted and the knob's kind of rotted and you turn it and it's broken. So I got to fix that. We got to clean up all the parts. It doesn't slide very nice. We just got to do an overall cleanup on it. So we're going to mount the bandsaw on this old base. I got that old base with an old radial arm saw. The guy sold me the radial arm saw and I guess he made this base, but it's all made out of reclaimed lumber of some sort. I don't know where he got it from, but he made tendons and he kind of did a nice job on it. And it kind of fits the era of my saw, really. So I thought, you know what? We're going to use this as the base for the bandsaw. We're going to paint it the same color as the saw. We're going to use some ash that I cut with my chainsaw mill and I planed it. And we're going to use that for the top. I'm going to put a little bit of linseed oil on it so it looks wood grain because I kind of like that. And then we're going to put the saw on top of that, put the motor, and we're going to wire it in with a switch. And it is going to be the most perfect height. And you know what? I kind of like that some guy put tendons and he put it together. It's just a simple base. It's got definitely some charm with it. I like that kind of thing. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to clean up the bandsaw and then start mounting it on here. Okay, so the first thing, we're going to take these covers off. They have these nice little nuts. I don't know what they're made of, but they're still in good shape. And you know what? These are aluminum. And they're really, really well built. We'll take off the top. Okay, so the tires are really wore. There's a bunch of cracks on it. The top one is gone. And the bearings feel good. I'll pull the caps off, but I don't think I'm going to do too much. Everything rolls nice and works. So I'm not going to pull it apart too much, but what I am going to do is we're going to get all the dust off it. We're going to clean, there's a big chunk of drip paint. We're going to clean that up. We're going to clean the top up. Okay, so this adjuster we're gonna try to push up on and slide it off. Come on. Okay. We just got to clean those up. The color I'm using is Kubota Dark Gray. I just had it accessible. We'll shake it up good. It's not the exact color, but I think it's going to come out. It's a nice machinery gray. Okay, so I got my first coat on of paint. It looks pretty decent. It really doesn't have to be perfect. I just wanted to freshen it up just a little bit. And I think it looks pretty good. So now we are gonna start working on the base. First thing we're gonna do is cut our top boards to length. We're gonna pre-drill the ash because ash tends to crack if you don't pre-drill it. We're still going to give it a little bit of a quick sand, and we're going to put some linseed oil on it. I am more of a functional kind of guy, so I would have just got the bandsaw going, get the motor on it. I probably would have been done already, but you know what? Sometimes it's nice to take a few more minutes and, paint it up, clean it up. When it's in the shop, it'll look good for years. It'll work good for years. Those old pieces of equipment, you get them, you really do have to do a little bit of work to them to get them to work good. But after you get them working good, they will last for years. The new stuff just doesn't do that. So sometimes it's worth just spending a little more time getting this old stuff up and going. So the base looks pretty good. I got a few coats on the bottom. I think that is good enough for a saw base. I think it looks pretty good. I might have to touch it up a little bit when it's dry, but I think that is going to look good. And the motor will go somewhere here. So I had this old motor and it's kind of the right vintage. I don't even know if it works. I'm assuming it works. It's an old Westinghouse and it's a quarter horse. So it will really have a good chance of running that. These motors normally you can wire them counter or clockwise. I would like to set it like this, but if it's going the wrong direction, I may have to turn the whole motor and have it here. Oh, I think I'm going to leave this sit for the night. The fumes are getting pretty strong. Tomorrow, hopefully I can finish this thing up. like it sitting like that, but I need it to turn like that. So the only way I'm gonna know is we're gonna take off that plate and wire it in and see what it looks like. It turns the wrong way. Runs nice and smooth though. So that means my motor has to run this way or I have to pull it apart. I have two options here. The motor's turning the wrong direction, so I can pull it all apart, and if I put the rotor in from this side, switch it around, it'll turn the other direction. I'm just kind of afraid if I pull it apart that stuff's going to happen. The motor runs good now. I'd rather have a running motor than mess it up. So I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to mount the motor here. I probably shouldn't have drilled the hole here right away. I'll drill another hole about here because this is good real estate to set stuff. Sometimes that's a good thing or a bad thing. You just start having a whole bunch of clutter, but to have a cord sitting across there, I don't think it's a good idea. So I'm going to drill another hole there, and we'll try to run the cord. Okay, so we're going to see where we're going to put the motor. This looks lined up, so I'm going to mark where I want to screw down the motor. I'm going to pre-drill through the ash. Are going to mount the bandsaw down to the table, and I'm going to use bolts, carriage bolts for that. So I marked where I want it to make sure that the belt was lined up. What I'm going to do is make it just a little bit farther out than it was, so then I can wheel the belt on and it'll actually be got a little bit of tension. I don't think it needs a lot of tension to turn the bandsaw, but I don't want it slipping. Okay, so we'll lift the saw off. Let's start off with just these two front ones. Okay, so I have the belt on. The belt's tight, but it's not crazy tight. But I think it's going to be good for this reason. If I have to make a tensioner, I can. But I don't think I need to. Okay, let's plug it in. It runs really smooth. Even the saw on that doesn't really vibrate too much. There's a bit of noise in the center. But I'm wondering if that'll quiet down once the bandsaw blade is on. But that is looking good. put the top adjuster for the top wheel back in. I've never heard of Craftmaster till now, but their equipment back then was really, really well made. Super. So I'm glad. I'm kind of looking forward to use it. I am super happy how the bandsaw came out. It is absolutely awesome. You know what? I've been on a mission kind of to get my wood shop up and going, because my wood shop, I kind of moved it, never finished it. Had a bunch of projects like this, like to get a bandsaw up and running, to get a joiner, get all that stuff up and running, and I just haven't done it, and it's in my garage and I can't use it, so that's no good. So I kind of had a little bit of a mission to get my bandsaw up and going. I'm going to get a joiner up and going. I'm going to get a lot of my wood tools ready to go, work on the dust collection system, and to get the shop set up, because once the shop is set up, I can use it for years. It'll just be here. It won't take any more time, and actually you'll save a lot of time around here. So I'm super happy how the bandsaw came out. You can't beat the quality of old tools. So I'm done for now working on the bandsaw. I gotta wait till my new tires come in and the bandsaw blade, and when that comes in, we'll finish it up and kind of see how it works. But the way it looks and the way it sounds, I don't think there's going to be any problems. So that's about enough for today, and you guys have a good one.